Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Threadman Chazza. Hope you're all having a good day. Hope everything's well with you. We're back today obviously with another live show. Today we're going to discuss Luke Shaw. So obviously this is the third episode of the Player in Focus series on Luke Shaw. We've obviously already covered David De Gea and Diogo Dalot, but today we're going to cover Luke Shaw. I've had a few problems with the lighting, so I'm going to make sure I sort that out for next time. But I hope everyone's doing well as always. This series seems to have gone down well with a lot of people. I think lots of people have enjoyed, so that's why I've sort of continued to do it. So obviously we've covered De Gea, we've covered Dalot, and now we're covering Luke Shaw. So yeah, I did do a couple of polls out on Twitter recently, one about Shaw, so we're going to go through that for sure. But as always, guys, please do subscribe if you're new. Please do get involved in the comments, and please do leave a like as well if you are enjoying the video. But let's get started on Luke Shaw. We're going to have a discussion about Luke Shaw, talk about his attributes and analyse them and see where we think he might fit under Erik Ten Hag. Jose, thank you very much, mate. Big up. Thanks a lot for coming along today. I hope you're doing well. But as I said, we're going to dive in now for Luke Shaw. We're going to dive into Luke Shaw's sort of stats. We're going to have a look sort of at what he's done recently, what we think about him, where he can improve, etc. So as always, I've got the little presentation up. And we're just going to have a look through Luke Shaw. So before we start, guys, what do you guys think about Luke Shaw? So please let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on Luke Shaw? What do you think about Shaw? Do you like him? Do you think he's a good player? You know, his mentality, consistency, does that worry you, etc.? So please do get involved in the comments, guys. We're going to start here with Luke Shaw. We're going to have a look at Luke Shaw. So as always, we'll just have a brief sort of look through Luke Shaw's stats. I'm not just a stats person, so we'll also obviously use the eye test judgment as well. But we'll just have a look through Luke Shaw's stats from last season. Look how he did, etc. Jose's got a comment in here. Unrealised potential. Yeah, I think you're right. I'd agree. Yeah, I would agree there. We're going to have a look through it now, and then we'll certainly make some judgments. I'll sort of put the judgments up at the end, and we'll have maybe a little poll as well, see what everybody thinks. So if we have a look at Luke Shaw from last season, look, Manchester United had a very, very poor season last season as a team. You know, there were very, very few players that impressed. I think we can all agree on that. Even De Gea and Ronaldo, who a lot of people think did well, they still had their limitations, etc. So I think a lot of people were not happy last season, and rightly so. So it's important when we look at these stats, you've got to realise we're talking about a team that underperformed as a whole. So obviously, as we said with Dalot as well, some of his stats might look worse because of how bad the whole team was playing and how unbalanced it was, etc. If you look at Shaw, you can see, fairly decent on the ball in terms of his passes, progressive passive distance. You've got the short passing, the medium passing, the long passing. He's okay there. Obviously, nothing incredibly special, but he's quite good in the short passing in particular, very accurate. And then if you look towards the end, towards the bottom of the graphic there, you can see Luke Shaw. This is his best attribute for me in the final third. His key passes into the final third, his progressive passes as well. For me, Luke Shaw, I think he's a very, very good progressive player. And I think this sort of backs up the eye test here, really. But yeah, look, I don't think these stats, again, this is only from one season, the last 365 days in all competitions, so it's not everything. But I think we can all agree one of Shaw's best attributes is his progression. There's been talks about, Luke Shaw's weight. People are critical about that. There's been, obviously, Jose Mourinho in the past talked about sort of he needed Jose Mourinho's mind on the sideline, really. He said, my mind and his body, or something like that. Words of that effect. Jose thought that he didn't use his mind enough. So I think Jose is right when he comments about unrealised potential. Luke Shaw has a lot of potential. Progression, really, really good. But again, we don't see it consistently enough, in my opinion. I think Luke Shaw could go up another couple of gears for sure. But yeah, that's just a bit on his sort of progression. You got a bit more here. Anything of interest? Yeah, again, you can see this is all the passing side of thing, the attacking side of thing. He's in the top percentile, so he's in the top percentages really for these attacking attributes. So this is what Shaw does well. We all know that Shaw contributes well going forward, and obviously there are people who will say he doesn't get many assists, blah blah blah. You are right, he doesn't. If you look, I think over the last however many years he's been at Man United, 8 years or something like that, crazy amount of years, he's actually not got many assists at all, Luke Shaw. But as I said before, I'm not all about goals and assists. I think general contribution to the team, I think Shaw does contribute positively going forward. So yeah, for me, I think Shaw is best in terms of going, sort of defending and attacking. I think in the attacking areas, he's much more beneficial for us. Much more beneficial for us, for sure. This is his sort of defensive side of things. Somebody commented, I can't remember who it was, so apologies, I forgot your name, but somebody did comment a few shows ago about Dalot. When you're looking at defensive individual stats for a defender, you have to be careful, and he's totally right. Because if you look at players like Virgil van Dijk, their defensive individual stats won't be that incredible, because obviously Liverpool win the ball back so quickly and so early that Van Dijk doesn't have to do the defending, because the midfielder or the attacking players do it for him. So when we look at individual defensive stats, it is a little bit difficult for sure. But please, guys, everyone who's watching right now, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe if you're new. Please do get involved in the comments as well. King Power, love the content, Charlie. Thanks a lot, King Power. Appreciate that. Please leave your comments about Shaw. We're just discussing at the moment Shaw. We've talked about going forward, sort of progression. That's where he's stronger. We're now looking into the defensive side of things. You can see here, defensive side of things, he's quite weak in terms of the tackles, the interceptions, the clearances, the pressures. I think that's the big thing. The pressures is what worries me with Shaw. When you look at Shaw defensively, he's not proactive. You know, you look at Shaw and you think, you know, are you really putting everything into your work? Could you maybe give it a little bit more? And that's always where I'm left with Shaw. I think he's got huge potential. Jose said earlier, this comment summed it up, unrealised potential. I think you're spot on. I think you really are. Unrealised potential with Luke Shaw. He's got a lot of potential, but I think particularly defensively, he's just not proactive enough. And I just don't think he shows it enough on a consistent basis. Rich Sports, hi Rich. I hope you're doing well, mate. I'm sure I'll be back on next week for a show or something like that. If you get me on, I hope you're doing well. I hope everything's going well. Let me know, guys. Please, everyone who's watching right now, please leave a like. Please let me know what you think about Luke Shaw. We've talked about his progression, strengths there, but now defensively, you can see the weaknesses here. Not proactive. And I think this backs up the eye test, really. You can see when Shaw's defending, he's not aggressive enough for me. He's not proactive enough. He doesn't anticipate things well. I think there's been a lot of times where he played players onside when he could have stepped up and played them offside. I just don't think he's proactive enough, personally. Luke Shaw. Here we go again with Shaw. This is a bit more in terms of his attacking attributes. Again, you'll see here, look at that towards the bottom of the graphic, carries into the final third. He's in one of the top percentiles. That's Shaw's best attribute out of anything for me, carrying the ball into the final third. I think we remember in the season when we finished second under Ollie, you look at the way that Shaw and Rashford linked up, the way that Shaw carried the ball into the final third. That's what Shaw's really good at. And I think he needs to continue that, because I think it's very, very beneficial for the team. We're going to talk in a bit about Ten Hag's system and how he might fit in there. Rich, Dalot has looked okay. He certainly has, Rich. I think he's looked more than okay, actually, for me. I think he's been really quite impressive. So Dalot has been good. King Power, I do see Malacia taking his place. Yeah, I did do a poll on Twitter. We're going to look at that in a minute. But I did do a poll on Twitter, and there were the majority think that Malacia should start the first game of the season in the league, which is fair, which is absolutely fair. But we're just looking at Shaw from last season. Shaw, what we've seen over his career so far. It's just not consistent enough, in my opinion. We can look at all these stats we like. As I say, I'm not all about stats. It's just looking at his attributes, but even his strongest attributes, he doesn't show it consistently enough. Right, I'm going to go through. I'm going to try and get a little poll up now. I think, if I can, I'm going to try and get some sort of poll up. If I can get a poll up, I'm going to try and get everyone involved in the comments. Rich, Shaw has ability, but hopefully with better coaching instruction, he might have him. Yeah, look, I think Shaw. I don't think many people think Shaw is a very, very poor player. I don't think there's many people. You might think he's not an incredible player, but I don't think many people think Shaw's a poor player. I think we're just waiting. Where's the consistency? We've seen bits and bobs from Shaw. We saw that excellent season, sort of last season when he was, going to the Euros, and he obviously played very, very well there. Not just for England, but also for Manchester United, of course. But I just don't think we see it enough from Shaw. That's the unfortunate thing. I just don't think we see it enough, which is a shame. So Rich again, I think it was Dalot, Sancho switching working well. Sancho's intelligence will thrive. Yeah, exactly, Rich. I can't believe there were people last season who were having a go, but really, really doubtful about Sancho. Jadon Sancho is a very good player. He's a very, very good player. And Sancho and Dalot are both intelligent. Dalot's got a way to go, in terms of improvement, development, but they've got the fundamentals, both of them. So yeah, I agree, Rich. I think they could develop very well together. King Power, I believe it's like a confidence. He used to drive a lot and make inverted runs. Yeah, you are right. The frequency of those forward runs, although these stats still say that he's been doing it in the last season, he was doing it even more often, wasn't he? Sort of the season before last, he was doing even better when Ollie was manager, when we finished second, etc. During the Euros, he was doing those runs even better. And yeah, Rich, Malacia sort of provides good competition. Yeah, of course. I think that's been really, really impressive with Malacia. I think Malacia has impressed me quite a lot. And we'll talk soon about who we think is going to start. So let's talk about sort of progression. Let's talk about Luke Shaw and how might he fit in this Ten Hag system. So this was actually a thread I did in April. So it was quite a long way ago now, a few months ago. But I said, I did a thread and I said, I think Luke Shaw will play quite often under Erik Ten Hag. I think Erik Ten Hag will like Luke Shaw. So you've got Daley Blind. Obviously, if you've watched Ajax, Daley Blind plays this role very much a sort of a deep line playmaker role from centre half or left back. He's very, very good in a deep position, Daley Blind. If you look at Daley Blind, he's in the top percentiles, the top percentages for progression. His progressive passes in Europe. Now, Luke Shaw, we've seen already, he's decent in progressive passing, decent. And this is just a little graphic I made back in April. This is something we might see. I think we've already seen it under Erik Ten Hag. You've seen Shaw and Dalot, Shaw, Malacia, Dalot, Ethan Laird when he's played at right back. You've seen there really inverted fullbacks. So we'll have a look at a couple of pictures in a bit. But you've seen fullbacks playing in a more inverted position, and I think this is where Luke Shaw might be able to thrive a little bit. He's not just a player that can carry the ball into the final third, but Luke Shaw can also dictate from a more central area. As I said, on the ball, he's got a lot of ability, and I think he can be useful there. So you might see Luke Shaw in a more central area, playing more as a midfield player almost, as inverted fullbacks do, sort of dictating play, building up from there. So yeah, Rich, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Please do, guys. Please do subscribe if you are new. We've grown the channel quite a lot already, and please do hit the like if you're enjoying the videos so far. You've also got progressive carries as well. So you've got Luke Shaw, as we've talked about before. King Power said, I think this point made a lot of sense actually from King Power. I believe it's a lack of confidence. He used to drive a lot and make inverted runs. Luke Shaw last season wasn't playing with as much confidence. Nobody was really. Nobody really stood out, particularly in the Manchester United team. You could say Ronaldo with his goals, De Gea with his saves, but overall, there wasn't. You couldn't say anybody was absolutely incredible. But I think Luke Shaw, this is one of his best attributes, carrying the ball into the final third. So again, we've seen under Erik Ten Hag. You've seen Dalot in the first few games look at how expansive Dalot has been. You've seen him sort of marauding runs through into the final third. So I think Shaw is very, very good at that. He's very, very good with his dribbling. You know, he's got decent feet, Luke Shaw. He moves quite quickly. But again, it's just the mentality and the consistency with him. We all know Shaw can do this. Every one of us has seen Luke Shaw making these really good forward runs. He's unstoppable at times when he makes these forward runs. You can't knock him off the ball. He's got a bit of pace. But it's almost when he wants to do it. You know, it's not consistent. There's obviously a mentality, a consistency issue somewhere there. We just don't see it on a consistent basis. So yeah, progressive passes, progressive carries. This is where Shaw really is sort of very, very impressive. We know he can do it, but we just need to see it more often. And I think the competition of Malacia is really going to help. I think Rich makes a great point here. When Tellez came in, remember what happened to Shaw. Shaw's best game came when Tellez came in. I'm hoping the same will happen with Malacia. You know, I'm hoping so. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing this now, and I'm going to go to Twitter, and I'm just going to show a couple of things on there and show a poll. So, good evening, Mr. Silverbridge. Good evening, Adrian. I hope you're doing well, mates. Yeah, I've been told I look like Mark Goldridge a few times before, which is interesting. So let's have a look at Twitter then. Let's just have a look through this. So this was actually a poll that I put out. I think it was earlier today. So it's a poll I put out earlier today about who you think should start. So I put this poll out, as you can see on the screen now. Let me just zoom in slightly. Again, guys, please do get involved in the comments. I want to know your thoughts on this. If you didn't vote in the poll, or if you did vote in the poll, let me know what you voted. Let me know what you would have voted if you could have done. So who should start against Brighton? As I said, we've had this conversation before. Who should start? In my opinion, I would choose the fourth option. Let performances decide. You know, I'm not a great fan of Alex Tellez. I wouldn't keep Alex Tellez at the club. I'd be looking to offload Tellez. I'd be looking personally to, look at Shaw and Malacia. Whoever performs better in pre-season, that player should start, in my opinion. And I think that should always be the case. Whoever starts, it should depend on merit. It should be earned. It should be on merit, not on your status, not on what you've done in the past. It should be on merit. So yeah, the majority obviously have voted for Malacia here. 65% have voted Malacia, 22% Shaw, less than 1% for Tellez, and 10.7% let performances decide. So you've got there 149 votes, quite a lot of people there. They've voiced their opinion. They think it should be Malacia, but for me, let performances decide. I think that's the best way to do it. King Power. So regarding defensive cover with Lisandro on the left side of the defence pairing, who do you think will work better? For me, I think Malacia will work better. Malacia is better, personally, from what I've seen of him. I think Malacia has looked stronger one-on-one defensively. Malacia, I think, has got better recovery pace. Obviously, we need to see more of Malacia overall to judge his positioning. He has been, I have been a bit critical of him in the past about his defensive positioning. That's certainly something he can improve on. But for me, I think Malacia would probably work best, and probably, the defensive cover. You've got to think about Ten Hag's system. Very, very important to deal with counter-attacks. You've got to be quick in terms of your decision making. You haven't got to necessarily be an incredibly fast player. Look at a player like Daley Blind, who plays for Ajax. Daley Blind isn't, the most speedy player. Obviously, he's getting on now. But the thing with Daley Blind is, up here, he knows exactly what to do. And I think Shaw at times doesn't have that. And I think Malacia is quite quick with his decision making. So I think Malacia would work better personally. Yeah, Adrian, I agree. Performances, nice interaction in the comments here. Tamo Dave, good evening. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for coming along as always. Rich says, I think Shaw is likely to start, but Malacia will get plenty of chance to take position over the year. Yeah, that's certainly fair. I think something that's interesting though, Rich, is that if you look at the difference between the teams from the first two games and the third game, obviously we've had a couple of injuries. Varane and De Gea got injured, didn't they? So they were took out. And then obviously De Gea's been brought back in. Varane obviously still probably recovering from the injury. But if you look at the other games, I think Rashford and Elanga swapped, didn't they, for the Melbourne game? So Elanga started and Rashford came on in the second half. But other than that, the only other big change has been Malacia, who's come in for Shaw. And we heard nothing about an injury to Luke Shaw. So whether Ten Hag didn't like what he saw from Shaw in the first 2 games, possibly. Whether he's just giving Malacia a chance in with the first team players, really, possibly. But I think Shaw didn't even come on, did he, in that game against Palace? So, look, I think Malacia did himself quite proud, actually. He lost the ball a couple of times. He still needs to get up to sharpness and everything. But I thought Malacia did reasonably well against Palace. So, look, I think, Rich, you may well be right, but I think if you start in the team and you have a couple of shaky performances, I think you're going to be out of the team. I think we've got good depth in that left back position. Personally, I think that'll be a good battle throughout the season. Hopefully, Adrian, we'll have to see with the amount of games United will be playing. All players will be rotated and have their fair share of games. Exactly, Adrian. You've got the Europa League, you've got the Premier League, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup. You often, you would expect Manchester United. You'd expect us to go quite far in the Europa League. Fingers crossed with the squad that we've got. You'd expect also with the way that Spurs have invested, the way that Chelsea are going to invest, the way that Liverpool and City have played for the last few years, top 4 is not going to be an easy feat by all means. By no means are we guaranteed top 4 at all. You've also got clubs like Newcastle. You've got Aston Villa who's strengthened. You've got Arsenal who have signed, obviously, Zinchenko, Jesus, Fabio Vieira, etc. So if you actually look at it, Manchester United will have to look at that Europa League and think, we might need to win this thing to get into the Champions League. So I think you are right. I think with the amount of games we've got to play, we do need quality depth everywhere. And I think that's why Ten Hag's looking for a right back. Wan-Bissaka doesn't really suit Ten Hag's system on the ball. Dalot obviously does, but nobody is sold on Dalot too much yet. So we do need a right back as well. So I think it's all about sort of the squad depth. So I think you're definitely right there. Guys, there's quite a few people watching right now. Please do smash a like on the video. Please get involved with the comments. We've had loads of comments so far. Please do get involved. I really enjoy the interaction. I've got the poll on the screen now. Who would you start against Brighton? Would you start Shaw? Would you start Malacia? Would you start Telles? Or would you let the preseason performances decide? Obviously, Telles is less likely because he's been playing at centre-back. It's quite obvious that Ten Hag maybe doesn't fancy him much. But yeah, let's see. Let me know, guys, in the comments. Who would you start? So Rich says maybe Ten Hag is just seeing how they both do. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why Donny came on as well against Palace. Donny came on, and I think Donny actually did himself quite good justice, actually, in the Palace game. I think Donny played quite well, and I think Ten Hag will have a few things to think about after that. Fixture congestion, certainly. And if you think also the World Cup as well, very unpredictable season. This is why I'm saying you've got to be a bit careful this season what you're doing, because you've got a very unpredictable situation. The World Cup's around Christmas time. You might have a few clubs that are sort of you class as the mid-table clubs. They're not going to have as many players going off to the World Cup, so their squad is going to be refreshed. They're going to be able to work on tactics, work on things on the training ground while everyone else is going off to the World Cup. So obviously they'll still have a few players that go off, but they're going to have many, many fewer players than the big clubs are. So that you've got to watch out this season. I think there could be quite a few surprises. Yes, he did King Power. He certainly did. As I said, I think Shaw was okay. Malacia was okay. But as I said, I think he was a bit clumsy at times, gave the ball away a few times as well. Tanmay, I've high hopes for Shaw. Really a chance for him to make that position for himself. Yeah, competition. I think that's the biggest thing. If you look at other teams in the league, you look at key positions. You look at managers like Pep Guardiola, for example. You've even got Jurgen Klopp now at Liverpool. You look at the depth of those teams. Obviously, in certain areas that they haven't got as much depth. You're not going to have world-class players in every position. But if you look at a team like Liverpool, obviously they've sold Mane, but now they've got Salah, they've got Jota, they've got Firmino, they've got Diaz, and they've got Nunes, and they've also signed that Carvalho as well. And so they've got a load of players who can play in forward areas, a lot of depth. We haven't got that at Manchester United. We've got Martial and Rashford who, particularly Martial, I felt's done well in pre-season. But if you look at Manchester United's squad, there's a lot of players misfiring. There's not a lot of depth. So I think you're certainly right. Yeah, exactly. And I think, Rich, the issue was, I think, under Ollie, far too many times you had players performing poorly and then they weren't dropped. And I think that's a big problem. You get players feeling more entitled, like they have to start, and they won't put as much effort in if they know they're not going to be dropped. That's how it works. You need to make sure there's consequences to bad performances. Okay, so we're going to have a look on Twitter again. Just got a couple of things about Luke Shaw. I know I digressed a bit there on Luke Shaw. So let's have a look at Luke Shaw. So just a couple of things I noticed really in the first few games with Luke Shaw. I'm just going to make a point on the inverted fullback elements, because I think it is an important element. Okay. So yeah, inverted roles. So we've seen this many a time already this preseason. If you've been watching closely at preseason, you've seen that we've been playing with some inverted fullbacks at times. So we've seen particularly Dalot has been in that role, but we've had sort of interchanges. So you'll see maybe when Dalot goes slightly wider, we've seen Shaw come more slightly narrow. When Shaw goes slightly wider, we've seen Dalot go more narrow. So you see the flexibility under Erik ten Hag. So if we look at this image here, you can see Luke Shaw in an inverted position there. Now, we've seen in the past, Luke Shaw can create things. He's decent crosser, he's decent dribbler, he's good at progressing the ball. He can create from these sort of areas. So this is where we can see, I think, his link-up play. I think he's quite smart. He's got some intelligence going forward, Luke Shaw. So I think he could be very useful in this position. You've also got a position like this second image here as well. You see him in that position. He can get a shot off. If the ball comes to him, he's quite good at recycling possession. He's got intelligence, Luke Shaw. He can go on the outside, he can go on the inside. However, my worry with Shaw is, if you know about the inverted fullback role, if you understand the inverted fullback role, when you're in an inverted fullback role, you're in that role not just to provide more dominance in the middle of the pitch. You're almost acting as another midfield player to dominate the opposition in that central area, gain more control. But also off the ball, you're in that position because if the opposition wins the ball back, you're in a better position to stop the counter-attack. Okay? And so that's sort of what the inverted fullback is there for. So not just on the ball, but also off the ball. That is the problem with Shaw, off the ball. I don't think he thinks quickly enough. I think he gets beat too easily one-on-one. That's my personal opinion. Let me know, guys, what do you guys think in the comments? That's my personal opinion with Shaw. I think he could suit this inverted role on the ball, but I think off the ball, I think he gets beat too easily. You see how many times Shaw pulls an attacking player back, when he maybe doesn't need to, he just needs to stand up, etc. I just don't think he's smart enough up here off the ball. What do you guys think? Let me know, guys. What do you guys think? Any questions so far? Let me know. Cheers, Rich. Thanks a lot for coming along, mate. I appreciate the support as always. I'm sure we'll be in touch soon. So yeah, guys, let me know, what do you think about Shaw off the ball? I think that is his weakness. I think decision making, decisiveness, intelligence off the ball, proactiveness, and that's where he's going to have to improve under Erik ten Hag. When you're out of possession, we've seen loads of quotes from Ten Hag already. When you're out of possession under Erik ten Hag, you can press very, very high, but also he said, if you sit off in a defensive shape, you've got to press as well. You can't just sit off without being proactive. You can sit off and be more defensive and have a more solid shape, but you've also got to be proactive. If you sit off and don't engage with your opponents, you will just concede goals. You can still sit off in a lower block and be proactive at the same time. And that's what Ten Hag has referred to many times. You have to be proactive. And for me, Shaw, I think he's got to improve in this element. He definitely has got to improve. King Power, agree with you completely. And yeah, bye Rich Sports. I hope Rich is all well. So let me know, guys, what do you think about Luke Shaw? Where do you think he should improve? For me, I think he's got to be more consistent with his attacking output for sure. And I think off the ball, he's got to be more proactive, more decisive. That's my view. That's my view so far. Obviously, we've talked about De Gea in episode 1. The main consensus from everybody about De Gea, I think majority of us sort of agree that David De Gea needs to improve drastically. And we've already seen improvements from De Gea. We talked about Dalot in the second episode. I think we all agreed with Dalot as well, the majority of us. We all agreed, majority, that Dalot has got some good fundamentals. He's good technically. But again, Dalot really needs to improve, and we've seen him improve already. I think it's the same as Shaw here. Shaw's a little bit different, though, because he's been here for so long, and we've wanted to see so much more. As Jose said at the start, what did he say? He said that unrealised potential. Has Luke Shaw ever been consistent for more than a few months? Not really. Not really has he been consistent. You look at what Andy Robertson does for Liverpool. Andy Robertson very rarely goes off form. He's always consistent. He does what Shaw does best every single game. So, we need consistency. King Power, he lacks urgency in defence. He certainly does. I don't think he anticipates things well enough. He needs to focus on keeping his position in line with the rest of the defence. Too many. That's a great point. I said this earlier. He keeps far too many players onside. Look, I think we've seen Jose Mourinho in the past. Jose Mourinho is very often right when it comes to football. His judgment of players is very often right. We all have to agree with that. You look at what Jose Mourinho has done in the past. Obviously, when he was at Chelsea, he let De Bruyne go, I think, and Salah, etc. But if you look at what Jose Mourinho has done in his career, and then you look at what Jose Mourinho said about Shaw, his body and my mind. That's what Jose Mourinho said about Shaw. Jose Mourinho said this from the start. He said, Shaw, his intelligence, decision making, he isn't quite there with his decision making, his intelligence, not quite consistent with it enough. He doesn't think enough. He isn't intelligent enough off the ball with his decision making. I think on the ball he's very good. I think he's much better than Tellez. I think Malacia, I think he can give him a good run for his money. But I think off the ball, I think, again, defensive positioning, as Jose says there, I don't think it's good enough. I really don't. So that's it, really. Yeah, on Luke Shaw in terms of the sort of summary of his attributes. And obviously there's been a lot of comments about Shaw and Malacia, who's going to start. I'm not that bothered about arguing about who's going to start. For me, whoever performs best starts. That's my personal view. That's what I personally think. Whoever performs better should start. And so, yeah, guys, there's quite a few of you watching. Please do get involved in the comments. We've had a lot of comments so far. What do you think about Shaw? Will he start under Ten Hag? Yes or no? What do you guys think? I personally think if I had to go for yes or no, I would probably say no from what we've seen so far. I think signing Malacia is some intent as well. I think Malacia, personally, I think he will suit Ten Hag's system off the ball. Unless Shaw really improves, I think we might see Malacia starting personally. Mate, I think it's more about a fitness issue with Luke Shaw when it comes to consistency, especially in recent years. Ten Hag will change that surely, and we will finally see if he's capable or not. Yeah, exactly. And I don't like it's a bit of an awkward topic with Luke Shaw's sort of fitness. It's a bit of a protective topic. You've got to be a bit careful what you say. But Luke Shaw, doesn't seem to be consistent with his fitness. You are right. I think he gets injured a lot. Does he take it that seriously? I'm not so sure. We just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But Ten Hag has obviously brought in this strict regime. We've seen today he's banning alcohol in the weekdays. He's banning. He's telling players they need to have regular checks, on their body mass and all that. He's telling players that they need to, they should eat sort of pre-prepared meals from the Man United themselves rather than relying on private chefs and all this sort of thing. So Ten Hag seems very, very keen on this nutrition and dieting. Ten Hag seems like he's going to be quite stern, which I quite like. Red Dead United TV, do you think we'll buy a striker? Because apparently Erik and Hag, the club, are waiting on Mason Green and CR7 situation. Yeah, I think we'll buy some sort of forward player. At Red Dead United TV, I think we will probably buy more of a wider player than a striker. Personally, that's what I think. Ronaldo, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen yet, but surely if Ronaldo was going to leave, some club would have come in for him by now with a concrete offer, and it would have been agreed. You know what I mean? There doesn't seem to be that many people that actually that much demand for him, other than obviously I think Saudi Arabia came for him, but he didn't want to go. So yeah, we've got to wait on Ronaldo, but I think it'll be more a sort of a wide player than a striker. But obviously, if the wide player can also play as a striker, like a versatile player, excellent. Joseph, what are your thoughts on Malacia? I think I've made this clear before. I did a video on Malacia before he joined. I'm a big fan of Malacia. Obviously, he's got a long way to go in terms of his development, but he's got the fundamentals. He's good on the ball, contributes well to attacks. He's got a very good cross on him. Output's good in the final third. He's fast. He's good one-on-one defensively. He stops counter-attacks well. I think Malacia could be a very good player for us. I think this 12 million or however much we signed him for, around 12 million, I think it was. I think that's going to be one of the bargains of the next few years, personally. I think he'd be a good signing. Tony, yeah, evening, Charlie. Forgot about your stream, just logged on. No worries, mate. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good day. King Power, I know we're here for sure, but if the Hakimi rumours are to materialise, how would you rate that signing? Hakimi's a very good player, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think he would cost in excess of 60 to 100. He's going to cost at least 60, 70, 80, 90 million, isn't he? He's going to cost 70, 80 million, I reckon, at least. So yeah, Hakimi won't come. I'm quite sure about that. But he's a top player. He's a very good player. He'd be fantastic in this system. He really, really would. But we do need to sign a right back. You know, we've got competition with Shaw and Malacia for left back. We haven't got that competition at right back. Dalot, we said before, we said on the other Player in Focus episode, Dalot is a decent player. We've always said this. He's not. I don't think he's an incredible player. I think he's a decent player, but he's got a long way to progress. Aaron Wan-Bissaka doesn't suit Ten Hag's system on the ball. We do need a new right back. So I think we do need a right back, but Hakimi is very unlikely, in my opinion. So yeah, that's just my thoughts. I think Hakimi is a very good player there. So please, guys, get involved in the comments. I want more comments, more questions about Shaw. We've said so far with Shaw, most people agree. Shaw's a decent player. Shaw has got some good attributes. He's good going forward, in my opinion, but a lot of people have agreed with me. His decision-making off the ball, you know, his lack of proactiveness off the ball, lack of aggression, you know, lack of that sort of thought off the ball. What are you doing off the ball? I think his decision-making, his positioning, keeps players on side a lot when he shouldn't. I think these are the main points that people have brought up. So Tony says, what's more important for a fullback, on-ball or off-ball qualities? Tony, I think it depends on the system. I think it depends on the system. In terms of where we're going with football in the last decade, certainly on the ball qualities. But I think it's important in football to have a left and a right back, a starting left and right back that complement each other well. So, for example, you don't want two players that are like Trent Alexander-Arnold at left back and right back. You've got Andy Robertson, who's, you'd say, better one-on-one defensively, more aggressive one-on-one defensively, more sort of maybe a bit more tidy in possession with shorter passes. Obviously, he still plays those crosses, but whereas Alexander-Arnold is obviously more of a risk taker, you know, loses the ball more often, longer crosses, not as good one-on-one as Robertson is. So I think on the ball qualities, I think to be a good fullback in a title-winning team or a good cup-winning team nowadays, you need fullbacks that are strong on the ball. But I think you also need to complement each other well. So I think it depends. I think if you're a team, obviously, if you're playing in the Championship, for example, and you're a team that wants to keep things a little bit more tight, or even if you're a Premier League team and you've got relegation candidates, you want to keep things more tight, obviously then the defensive side of things is very, very important. But for me, the modern game, for Man United especially, on the ball is more important nowadays. But you need to have that all-round game. You do need to, and especially for Ten Hag's game, you need to be proactive off the ball. You need to be good in one-on-one situations because you will get isolated in Ten Hag's system. Unfortunately, because of how expansive it is, you're going to have to deal with one-on-ones. So you need to be good defensively as well. So both are important, but on the ball is the sort of prerequisite. If you're not good enough on the ball, then you're never going to make it at a big club. Tanmay, obviously, ain't saying it in a bad way. Everyone has their own body type and their own pace of metabolism. Correct. He looks much fitter now than last season. I totally agree with you on his proactiveness. Yeah, I think your first sentence makes a lot of sense as well there about the body type. You are certainly right. But I've said in the past, it's got to have some sort of impact on him. You know, his lack of you look at Shaw and you think, is he being consistent with what he's doing out of football as well? Is he consistently doing everything he needs to do? And I just don't know. We just don't know. I think Shaw's always been on the bigger side, on the more stocky side anyway. But I think when he was playing his best football under Ollie, you could see the weight. You could see how hard he worked to get that weight slightly down again. So hopefully under Ten Hag, he can also do that. Red Dead United TV, thoughts on the Sane links? Personally, interested in the Rashford. I think Sane is a very good player. I would love Leroy Sane. I'd also like Gnabry as well. I think they're both very good players. Sane I rate quite highly. I think he'd be a top signing. But again, is it going to happen? I can't really see it. I don't think it's that realistic right now. I think one thing to talk about so far with the fullback situation is Shaw and Malacia, both of them really, they've struggled to make a connection with our left-sided player, sort of our attacking left-sided player, whether it be Rashford or Elanga so far, really. Whereas on the right-hand side, Sancho and Dalot have played really, really well together, like really, really well. So I think that's something we need to see in the next few games as well. Can we see a relationship developing between Shaw or Malacia and probably Rashford, who's going to play on the left? And also, what's going to happen when if Ronaldo comes back in? Is Martial going to stay? Is Ronaldo going to move to the left? Is he going to play at 9? There's a lot of things for Ten Hag to sort out. There's a lot of decisions to make. I think bringing Martinez in, I think he goes straight into the team. So I think De Gea in goal. I think the left-back spot's up for grabs. I think Martinez and, again, the second centre-back spot. Will it be Maguire? Obviously, he's the captain. He probably will play. But can you leave Varane out when he's fit? You probably can't. So I think that centre-back spot's got a bit of unpredictability about it. And then the right-back, I think, will be Dalot, unless we sign a fantastic right-back. And then you've got the midfield area. If there's no change in the Frankie de Jong deal, I think it will continue to be probably McTominay and Fred. And then obviously you've got Bruno, you've got Rashford, Sancho, and Martial. So I think quite a lot of the team picks itself at the moment. But I think this left-back spot is one that's really up for grabs. I think this left-back spot for me is the most open sort of position in the team right now. I think if you ask the fan base, what do you actually think? Who do you actually think is going to be number one, rather than who should be? Who do you think? Who do you think is Ten Hag's going to pick? I think a lot of us will sit here thinking, it's all about performances. And as I said, I personally, if I was pushed to it, I would go for Malacia at the moment. And there's a lot of people watching now, guys. Please do leave a like on the video if you're enjoying. Please do get involved in the comments. We're talking about Luke Shaw, talking about fullbacks, talking about a lot of different things about football as usual. Thoughts on Darwin Nunes? I never wanted Darwin Nunes. I don't think he's good enough in terms of his all-round play. He probably will get better and adapt to Liverpool's system. But for me, he was never one that we should have gone for. De Gea and his distribution. Yeah, I will probably look into that. De Gea is an interesting one. I think his distribution has improved already in pre-season. But again, how much can De Gea improve consistently? Can you go from a stay-on-your-line keeper to more of a ball-playing goalkeeper and a sweeper keeper? Can you do that overnight? Can you switch it? Can you be... you can't just come out and try and sweep, and you can't just try and distribute the ball 40, 50 yards without having the knack of doing it over many years. You can't suddenly just become an incredible distributor, an incredible sweeper. So I think it will take time, but we'll see what happens. Tamray, Ericsson might come in. You might be right. He might do, but I'm not too keen on seeing Fred, Ericsson and Bruno. I'm not too keen on seeing Fred in that deeper 6 role on his own without another enforcer in there at the moment. If Frankie de Jong doesn't happen, you might be right, but I think we will get punished if we play with that midfield, particularly Fred in a deeper role. For me, I just don't think Fred's very good there. A lot of people have said Fred's been really good in pre-season. I actually don't think he's been as good as many people make out. I think he lost the ball a lot against Palace. I think he tries silly shots at times as well. He dives in too often. But look, that's just my opinion. I don't rate Fred that highly. Neither do I rate McTominay that highly, to be honest. But I don't think either of them are particularly fantastic. But yeah, you might be right. But I think Fred in the 6 without that enforcer by him, I think we could struggle a bit. I reckon De Gea will be our backup. He may well be. This is the third episode of Player in Focus on Shaw. We've done Dalot and we've done De Gea as well. And I think I said in the De Gea show, I don't think De Gea, personally, I think he might struggle to adapt and he might not sort of last that long. But I hope he does. I hope we've all got to hope. We want these players to do well. Of course we do. So there's quite a few people watching right now. 18 people watching. Please, guys, get in the comments. Get your thoughts in about Luke Shaw. That's the player we're talking about. Luke Shaw, who's going to start the first game of the season? Who's our best left back? Who should be sold out of Shaw? And sort of tell us, what do you think about Shaw in his first sort of nearly a decade he's been at the club, I imagine now. What do you think about Shaw? Best attributes, worst attributes, strengths, weaknesses. Can he adapt to Ten Hag's system? That's what we're talking about. Red Dead United TV, are you a Twitter space kind of guy or just someone who keeps themselves to themselves? I used to do Twitter Spaces, and then my phone, I've got a bit of a problem with my phone in terms of the battery. So then as soon as I used to do them, the phone used to get all hot and the battery used to go. So it wasn't very practical. And also, I find on Twitter Spaces, it's a bit difficult to get your point across sometimes because you speak and someone sort of interrupts you. And so I do prefer to keeping myself to myself. I prefer to just, keep my thoughts to myself. And that's why I do these shows, because I can just let all my thoughts out. On Twitter Spaces, it's a little bit difficult to get your point across sometimes. So yeah, I probably will join more when I do get a new phone. But it's a bit rowdy, so I prefer to analyse things a bit more sort of deeply rather than shout about with things. So that's my personal opinion. Obviously, if we win a trophy or if we beat Liverpool, I'm going to be a bit giddy and a bit shameless and shout and be very excited. But I'm not gonna go too wild. Can't lie, Charlie. What I saw from Malacia against Palace, he starts against Brighton. Yeah, I think Malacia was quite impressive. As I said, I think he gave the ball away a few times, a few heavy touches, but I think he was quite good. So who would you start right now, guys? So if I was to say to you, the Brighton game's tomorrow morning, comment now, would you start Shaw or Malacia? Who would you start against Brighton? If you had to decide right now, I know we've only seen a couple of games, but who would you start right now out of Shaw and Malacia? Let me know in the comments, guys. We'll see who wins. On my Twitter page, Malacia won, but we'll see who wins. Let me know, guys, Shaw or Malacia. Just one word, Shaw or Malacia. Who would you start against Brighton? Let's see what everyone thinks. Red Dead United TV, a very strange on Garner. Garnacho and Garner have not featured. Yeah, I think Garner had an injury, but I think he is back now. So we might see Garner feature on Saturday against Villa. So you might see that. Garnacho as well. Yeah, I think Garnacho's got quite a bit of potential. But again, I'm not quite sure why he hasn't played. Maybe because we've got obviously Pellistri, Ahmad. It's a bit strange that Chong has played ahead of Garnacho, though. You are right. We'll see what happens with Garnacho, see if Ten Hag mentions anything. But I think we have got a lot of wide players in the squad at the moment. But you'd expect Garnacho to play ahead of Chong, wouldn't you? But we'll see. And then Fish didn't do himself in much, cover himself in much glory, did he, against Palace? But yeah, it's only a pre-season game at the end of the day. So we've got one vote for Shaw. We've got 2 votes for Malacia. Let me know, guys. There's quite a few people watching. Shaw or Malacia to start the season against Brighton. If you had to decide right now, I know we've only seen a couple of games. 2 games of sort of Shaw in the first 11 and 1 game of Malacia. But who would you start right now if you had to decide, Shaw or Malacia? Let me know, guys, in the comments. Malacia is winning 2-1 right now. My personal view, whoever performs best in the next few games should play. I don't think it should be based on the name or, whether they've been here in the club before. I think it should be purely based on performances. Whether you start or not under Ten Hag needs to be on merit now. I think we saw too much in the previous regime under Ollie. Players that didn't deserve to play played. And I think the manager refused to adapt and refused to change the system, refused to make changes to his philosophy to fit other players in. So I think it was a bit of a nightmare in the end, the way it worked out. But I think whoever performs best should start. That's my opinion. We've got another vote for Shaw. We've got another vote for Malacia. 3-2 to Malacia. I'm going to give it another minute or so. There's 15 people watching right now, but I've only got 5 votes. I want everyone who's watching right now, who should start the season against Brighton, Shaw or Malacia? Let me know. If you had to decide now, there's so many people watching. We need more votes here. Please let me know. Shaw or Malacia? Comment. Who do you think should play? Who do you think should play? And if you like Alex Telles, you can choose him. But I think Telles is out of the picture personally now. We've got Tony saying Shaw as well. So we've got 3-3. 3-3 so far. Any other votes, guys? Come on, there's quite a few people watching. I need more votes. I need at least 10 votes in total to make a judgment here. I need at least 4 more votes for Shaw or Malacia. As I said, for me, it should be based on performances, as it should with every position. I know I said earlier, I think Martinez will go straight in, but I think that's because Ten Hag trusts him. I don't think, obviously, Ten Hag's not managed Shaw or Malacia before, so he's got no. Obviously, he's watched Malacia, I imagine, in the Dutch league, but he's got no prior sort of knowledge of what they're like, maybe in the changing room, etc. So it should be based on performances. It should be based on merit for me. But come on, guys, I need more votes. It's 3-3 right now. We can't settle it on a draw. We need a player to win. Shaw or Malacia? What do you guys think? I've said before, I personally think Malacia shoots a little bit more off the ball in terms of Ten Hag's system. I think very, very proactive. That's why he's brought Malacia in. But I think Ten Hag will like Shaw on the ball. I think Shaw offers enough on the ball to get some game time under Ten Hag. As I said before, I produced a thread in April on Ten Hag, and I said I think Dalot, Shaw, and Bruno will be 3 players, current players that Ten Hag will like. I think he likes Dalot. I think he'll like some aspects of Shaw's game, and I think he will like Bruno as well. We've seen already. I need more votes. It's 3-3. I need more votes. Who's going to be the decider here? I need more votes. Tamate, Shaw, Martinez, Maguire, Dalot. Yeah, I think that could be very, very likely. I think Dalot is, if he's fit, Dalot's nailed on. If Martinez is fit, I think he's nailed on. I think Maguire, if Maguire stays captain, I think he'll be nailed on as well to start. But I think, as I've said before at the start of the video, this left back position is quite a big debate amongst a lot of people. Who should start? Joe saying Malacia is the perfect way. Proactive is the perfect way to describe Malacia. Plus his attitude to want to work hard and impress really shows in how he plays. I tell you what, this young player Malacia, he is not a player in my opinion. As I said, I did a video about him before he signed for us. I said we should sign this player, not just because of his attributes, but also because of the way he goes about his business. If you look at the top players. If you look at the top players in the Premier League, if you look at the players at Manchester City and Liverpool, even if you look at the players like the sort of James Milner ilk at Liverpool, look at the way these players go about their business. Manchester United have had some very talented players in the last few years. We've signed Sanchez, we signed Di Maria, we signed Falcao, we signed Schweinsteiger was a bit different. He was towards the end of his career. I can't say he didn't put the application in. We've obviously had Pogba, we've had Martial, and I'm not criticising these players for lack of effort. But what I'm saying is we didn't see the best of these players, partly because of the way the club's been. We've obviously had problems with different managers, after Fergie, etc. But we haven't seen these star players be really consistent. A lot of our star players have not turned up consistently enough. And I think that's where we need to improve. And I think a player like Malacia, I think he has got a lot of technical ability. It's not like he's a fringe player. I think he's got a lot of technical ability, but I actually think he's got the attitude and the application to work well. Back 4 versus Brighton, Shaw, Martinez, Maguire, Dalot, very possible. I think that was the same as Tanmez, wasn't it? So the same back 4 you two have gone for there. Tony, what I like about Malacia is he plays with intensity, enthusiasm, qualities Sir Alex used to value. Yeah, and I think under Sir Alex, yes, Sir Alex did use the likes of Darren Fletcher and Ji-Sung Park, who, both of them, were not as talented as the likes of Ronaldo, Rooney, Giggskulls, etc., right? Beckham. They weren't, right? But Ji-Sung Park and Darren Fletcher were good football players. Ji-Sung Park, in particular, I'll give him a shout out. He wasn't no sort of, he wasn't a scrub. You know, he wasn't a player that you look at and think, well, he hasn't got any technical ability, but he's just a passion merchant or works hard. These players that Sir Alex used, say these very important players in the squad, they weren't just they didn't just have intensity and enthusiasm, as you say. They also had the quality required. And I think at Manchester United, we've got some players like that have got the intensity and the enthusiasm, like, for example, a McTominay, but have they got the quality required to be a top player at Manchester United? You know? Equally so, we've got the players with the talent, but without the intensity and enthusiasm. We've got very few players who have the talent and play with consistency, intensity, and enthusiasm. And that's been our big, big problem. We've got some eggs in basket A who work very, very hard, apply themselves well, but aren't the best technically. We've got some players in basket B who are very, very technical players, but don't apply themselves fantastically. We haven't got many players in basket C who are both. You know, you could argue maybe a player like De Gea over the years. I think De Gea has degraded a little bit, and I hope he can sort of improve his other attributes, but also his shot stopping's got worse, as we talked about in the player in focus. You saw the goal he conceded against Palace; that was poor. But you look at players like, you know, Varane. You know, he's just not consistent. He's not fit often enough, and this is the issue. We need more consistency from our squad. I think this sort of sums up Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw has got a lot of talent, but he just is not sort of consistent enough. And I think that's a big, big issue. I think that is a big, big issue. And I think last season we saw with a lot of these football players, a lot of them didn't look like they were actually interested. And I think that was where a lot of Manchester United fans got a little bit angry, and rightly so. But please, guys, everyone who's watching right now, please do smash a like on the video. Let's try and hit 25, 30 like mark as always. If you're enjoying, please do smash a like. Any other questions on Luke Shaw? Anything else people want to bring up about Luke Shaw before we draw the show to a close? I think the conclusion, if anyone missed this, I'll put this back up about Luke Shaw. We just went through his stats, just a quick overview. So Luke Shaw, you know, very good going forward. He's got decent stats, a good passer of the ball, short passing, quite tidy in possession. One thing I didn't mention is how Shaw gets out of tight space as well. You'll see when Shaw's being pressed, he's quite press resistant as well, which is useful. Key passes into the final third. Shaw passing forwards and also carrying the ball forwards. It probably is two best attributes for me. So yeah, that's my personal opinion. We looked at this defensive side of things. You have to be careful, of course, when you analyse defensive individual stats. Because obviously, you know, you've got systems like Liverpool where defenders don't have to do as much defending because the midfield and the attack suffocates the opposition and wins the ball back before the ball gets to the defenders. So, you know, you have to be careful when you analyse these individual stats. But you can see here Shaw, very, very low in pressures. That's often something I notice when I watch Shaw. He's not proactive enough with his defending for me. Tony, if we sign someone like Anthony, for instance, and Sancho moved to the left wing, which fullback would suit him better, Malacia or Shaw? I think both would suit equally well, personally, Tony. I think both of them are... Obviously, Sancho is a player that obviously is right-footed if he played on the left. I actually prefer him on the right, personally, but if he did play on the left, obviously he'd look to cut in more, wouldn't he, on his right foot? So you need a fullback that's strong, sort of overlapping. So I think both are quite strong there. But if I was to go for one, I think Malacia, in terms of his final output, his final ball from that wide left position, I think he is stronger than Shaw in that final ball. And so I'd probably just edge Malacia, but I think both would be okay for us. I'm not worried about the left back position now. I think both our left backs in Malacia and Shaw, we can make do with that for now. As I said, although I've criticised Shaw on a few things, I don't think Shaw is one of our worst players. I think he's one of our better players, Luke Shaw, personally. I just don't think he's consistent enough, frankly. Anything else? Yeah, you see here with the carrying distance, progressive carrying distance, very, very strong there. And then obviously I've talked about the role that he might play under Ten Hag in a more narrow, inverted role. whether it be in build-up or further up the pitch. Shaw is very, very good with his progressive passing to influence the game there. Also, Luke Shaw with his progressive carries, sort of maraudering runs through the opposition half into the attacking third. So yeah, that was all I sort of talked about there on that point on Luke Shaw. I know the lighting's a little bit strange tonight. I'm going to try and get that sorted for next time. I just couldn't sort that out in time for the show. But please, guys, please do subscribe if you are new right now. We're going towards 300 subscribers, which is a big achievement considering I've only really been doing this for a number of sort of months, well, a month and a half or 2 months or so now regularly. As always, please do smash a like on the video if you've enjoyed, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I think the conclusion for me with Luke Shaw is he's a good player, but he's going to have to get he's going to have to hit the ground running, else Malacia is going to take his place. But we're going to do a little vote in the comments. So I wasn't satisfied with the last vote. We had 6 votes, and we had it even. So we had 3 Malacia, 3 for Shaw. I want another vote now in the comments. What do you think Shaw will be? A starter, squad player, or will he be sold in the next year, 2 years or so? So starter, squad player, or sold. Out of those 3 options, what do you guys think? I would go for option 1 or 2. I think he'll be either a starter or a squad player. But what do you guys think? Let me know. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to get those comments in the chat. King Power, I must say, Malacia's deliveries were quality. He's got really, really good delivery, as you say, at the final ball. His output in the final third is class. It really, really is. So yeah, I was very impressed with that. Not just in the game, by the way, against Roma, but generally from what I've seen of him in previous games as well. So Luke Shaw, do you think he's going to be a starter on a Ten Hag? Do you think he's going to be a squad player, or do you think he will be sold? I want one of those 3. You've got A, B, or C. So will he be a starter? Will he be a squad player? Will he be sold? Let me know in the comments, guys. Let me know in the comments. And yet, Tam May brings up a good point. Who will be the player in focus for the next episode? We're going to do a vote on that in a minute as well. So please do stay around just for a few more minutes, guys. We're going to have a vote soon of who we're going to cover in the next episode. Obviously, we can't, as I said, with the first 3 episodes we've done, all we can do is look at a player's attributes and see whether they'll fit under Ten Hag. When we've got more sort of used to Ten Hag's system, we've seen these players in Ten Hag's system, I might also do sort of a player in focus, but actually look at what's happening now. What are they doing? Looking at the clips like we've seen with Shaw already, the clip of him in an inverted fullback position. We're going to do more of that sort of stuff. Squad player. Any other comments, guys? Starter, squad player, or sold? What do you think about Luke Shaw? Will he be a starter? Will he be a squad player? Or will he be sold under Ten Hag? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? And meanwhile, we've obviously done De Gea, we've done Dalot, we've done Shaw now. I'm going to see what you guys think in the comments. We can cover another defender if you'd like, maybe Maguire or Lindelof or Varane, but we may move on to sort of the midfield area because I want to make sure I cover sort of the midfield, and I think the attacking areas are quite interesting. The player in focus, it might get a bit more interesting when we get to the likes of the sort of Donny, Bruno, Rashford, Martial players. Squad player again. So we've got 3 votes, all for squad player. All for squad player. Interesting. All for squad player. So yeah, I do agree with that. I think Malacia could well take over that left back spot. But as I said before, it should all be about performances. Whoever performs well should be in that team. So in terms of the next episode for Player in Focus, guys, we've obviously done 3 episodes now. For the next episode, as I said, I'm going to let you guys decide. I'm happy to cover Maguire, Lindelof, or Varane. I'm happy to cover one of those players, but I'm also happy to cover McTominay or Fred. So let me know, guys, in the comments. Do you want me to cover a defender, or do you want me to move on to the midfield area? What do you guys think? Who do you want me to cover next in the Player in Focus? Let me know. Luca, big up, mate. Big up. I hope you're doing well, mate. Thanks for coming along. Luca, let me know your thoughts as well on Luke Shaw. Obviously, Luca supports Arsenal, so it's interesting to get the opinion of other supporters from other teams as well. Let me know on Luke Shaw. What do you think, Luca, for Luke Shaw? Will he start under Ten Hag? Do you think he'll be a sort of a squad player, or do you think he'll be sold? What do you think, Luca, on Luke Shaw? Tamme, Shaw starter for now, but squad player at best if he degrades now, for sure. We've got a vote for Fred from Joseph. Any other votes? Do you want me to cover Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, or do you want me to cover McTominay or Fred? Who do you want me to cover next for the player in focus? Who would you guys like to see next on this show? So I can cover another defender, Maguire, Lindelof, or Varane, or I can go to McTominay or Fred. What do you guys think for the next episode? Let me know in the comments, guys. So who should we cover next in this series? I'm hoping to cover, by the start of the season, I'm hoping to do quite a few more of these. We might even try and get another one in sort of later this week or very early next week. I'm going to try and get sort of 2 a week done. I've got an internship going on right now, but next week I'm going to have a bit more time on my hands to sort this sort of stuff out, do more sort of regular uploads. So I might try and get some more of these series going. Varane, we've got a vote for Fred, we've got a vote for Varane. I need more votes, guys. There's 8 people watching right now. Who do you want me to cover next in this series? Do you want me to cover Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, McTominay, or Fred? Which player would you prefer? We've got 1 vote for Fred, 1 vote for Varane. Who do you want to see me cover next in the Player in Focus series, where we analyse a player, look at their attributes, look at their strengths, look at their weaknesses, and see whether they'll fit under Ten Hag? We've had De Gea already in the first episode, where most people agreed De Gea needs to improve massively off the ball, sweeper keeping, and also on the ball with his distribution. We've had Diogo Dalot. A lot of people said he's got some potential, but he needs to be more. We need to see more attacking output. He needs to improve defensively. And Shaw, most people have said, a lot of people have said Shaw and Malacia is going to be a competition, but Malacia could take over that position if Shaw doesn't improve and rise to the competition. McTominay, Tony's gone for. We've got Fred, Varane, McTominay. I need some more votes, guys. I need really at least 3 votes for 1 player to really reach a consensus and an answer for this. So let me know, guys. Who do you want me to cover next? We've got 1 vote for Fred, 1 vote for Varane, 1 vote for McTominay. I need more votes. As I said, I like to give you guys the chance to put your input in as well. Who would you like me to cover next in the Player in Focus series? And what do you while we're waiting for the other votes to come in, what do you guys like about the Player in Focus series? Do you like the dynamic? Do you think anything could be improved? Let me know in the comments, guys. What do you think about this Player in Focus series? Do you like it? Is there anything I could improve on? I know that sort of the visual elements and stuff, the lighting isn't very good today. I know the visual elements could be improved. I'm working on improving these visualizations of the channel, sort of the intro, the outro sort of things. I'm going to try and work on that as we grow. But in terms of the actual content of the Player in Focus, is there anything you'd like to see done differently? So let me know, guys. I need more votes as well. We've got Fred, Varane, McTominay. Any votes for any other players, guys? Get the comments in. So it's a very, very hot day again in England. You've got to drink lots of water, keep hydrated. We've got Tony here. How about looking at a focus on a potential signing and how they would fit in? Yes. I think I said on the last show, I'm going to have a look at forward players, wide players, have a little scout of Europe and see if there's any wide or forward players that I like the look of. And I might do a video on that or some analysis on Twitter, and then I'll come on YouTube and obviously talk about that. So yeah, I think that's definitely an area to look at, because we're not seeing any other links other than Anthony at the moment. And Anthony is being quoted, priced at 80 million euros, which is, for me, a complete waste of time. I don't think we should be anywhere near that deal, personally. But we haven't seen many other links to attacking players. So we need to see, really. And we need to see. If there's any other links. But I'm going to try and have a look at that area of the pitch, have a scout around Europe, see if there's anything interesting. So yeah, I will definitely have a look at that for sure. We need more votes though, guys. We've got Fred, we've got Varane, we've got McTominay. We need more votes. Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, Fred, McTominay. Of those 5 players, who would you like to see me focus on in the next episode? And as I said before, what do you guys like about the episode, sort of this series, the episodes? What do you think could be improved? Any feedback is appreciated, guys, because obviously I want this to be the best, sort of make these shows the best I can. So please do let me know. If we don't get sort of an outstanding vote on this player, I'm going to have to take it to Twitter, and Twitter can decide there. But I would rather give the chance to you guys watching right now, because I know you guys, very, very supportive. I think you guys should have the chance to vote. So let me know, guys, what do you guys think? I think Fred is an interesting one. I think McTominay, I think they're all interesting, actually. I think Maguire, obviously, because he's the captain, that could be an interesting one to cover. Varane, if he stays fit, I think that could be interesting. Lindelof, I still think he's got something to show under Ten Hag. And Fred and McTominay, that they need to make sure that they're not going to remain squad players or be sold. They need to show something in the next few weeks and months. I'll change my vote to Frankie de Jong if it's allowed. Yeah, Frankie de Jong. I don't really want to talk about that right now because I'm, as you probably are as well, I'm a bit fed up with Frankie de Jong. The saga that's going on right now with Frankie de Jong. It's a bit crazy, isn't it, right now? But yeah, please, guys. Any other comments? There's 9 people watching. Sorry, there's 9 people watching. Who do you want me to cover next in the Player in Focus series? I know I keep asking, but I need more votes. Maguire. I'm actually going to put this in the comments. So, Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, McTominay, and Fred. So those are the players that you can choose from for me to cover in the next episode. I need you guys to decide between those 5 players. We've got a vote for Fred, a vote for Varane, a vote for McTominay. I need more votes, guys. There's 9 people watching. We've only got 3 votes. Only 3 people have voted. We've got Jose, Tame, we've got Tony, who have all voted. I need some more votes on those players, guys. So out of those 5 players, who should I cover next in this series? Because I need to know for the next episode. As I said, I think they'll all be interesting. But yes, I do need a deciding vote somewhere. Ideally, a couple more votes for one particular player if we can. But I do need a deciding vote somewhere from somebody. Please, guys, do vote. Even if you're not sure, even if you don't really mind who the player is going to be, who's your favourite out of those for me to cover? Which player do you think needs to be sort of put in focus and we need to talk about for under Erik Ten Hag? What do you guys think? And also, guys, any general questions as well while we're waiting? Any general questions about football, YouTube, Twitter, anything that you want to put across, any ideas, any feedback at all, please do let me know, guys. And I'm going to have to cut this show short in a couple of minutes because I need to get some rest. It's been a long day. But as I said, if we don't get another couple of votes, I'm going to have to put this to Twitter. And Twitter is going to have to decide for us who we're going to cover next if I don't get a couple more votes. So yeah, we need to know. Tony says, what's one of the most interesting tactical aspects you've seen in the 3 preseason games so far? I think the first thing has been the link-up play between the forward players, our attacking build-up, the link-up play, the approach play. Martial, Rashford, Sancho, Bruno, Donny, Dalot. I think we've really been impressed. I've really been impressed with those. Inverted fullbacks. I think Dalot in particular shine in that position, in sort of that role, and sort of proactiveness off the ball, the proactiveness, the press, how high we've pressed, how compact the press has been. I think it's been really good. De Gea's distribution, I think it's got a little bit better. There's still been times where he's kicked the ball out, but I think that's improved as well. But yeah, I think those things, inverted fullbacks, the link-up play, and the sort of compact press, the work rate from these players, I think that's been quite impressive. And also how they've looked like they're actually enjoying playing football last season. It looked like a chore to some of these players. Some of these players were coming out, looked a bit half-hearted, didn't look really bothered about playing for this football club. This is Manchester United we're talking about. You should be wearing that shirt with pride. And I think there are a few players that look a little bit rejuvenated. So I'm quite impressed so far, for sure. Quite impressed, for sure. But we are going to have to take this vote to Twitter by the looks of it. If there's no more votes for any of these players, we are going to have to take this to Twitter. We will decide the next player to be covered in the Player in Focus series. We've covered De Gea, we've covered Dalot, we've covered Shaw. We will see sort of who we cover next, and we'll see what we think about that. Tame, who is the realistic attacking option available apart from Anthony? As I said, I'm going to do a video on this, Tame. Okay, I'm going to do a video on this. What's interesting is, I think from the whole fan base, there is no wide player right now other than Anthony that people are talking about. People are talking about Ivan Toney and Schmaka. So Toney from Brentford and Schmaka from Sassuolo, both very good players. I'd take both of those players. But in terms of wide players, not many people are talking about many names at all. Most people are just saying Anthony. Not many people have got many names on their lips. So I'm going to have a look into this because as I said, I don't know at this moment in time. I'll always be honest. There's nobody at the moment that I'm shouting about in terms of wide players. I need to have more of a look into this. I need to watch some other leagues. I need to watch some more preseason of other teams, other players, and I will let you know. As I said, I'll probably do a video on this because I need to improve my knowledge as well and sort of find some profiles that might fit Ten Hag's system. Yes, Tony, I am worried. Ronaldo is obviously one of the best players to ever play the game, but we've been a lot more fluid without him in the forward positions with Martial. So I'm a bit worried about that. But I'm also excited to see what Ronaldo, if he stays, what he could offer under Ten Hag. I think he will score lots of goals himself, but I think he takes goals away from other players. That's the problem. So I think he takes the team goals away and adds individual moments. That's the problem, in my opinion. So thanks a lot, guys. I think we're going to call it a day there, unless anyone's got any other questions. The vote for the Player in Focus episode 4 will go to Twitter. I'll put a vote. I'll put a poll out on there. Would you rather me cover a defender or a midfielder? Once I've done that, I'll probably narrow it down to 5 names: Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, McTominay, and Fred. And we'll then cover that next player in the next episode. If there's any other things, guys, just leave a comment after this live show finish. You can still leave a comment if you've got any questions, any queries, any comments for me. You can also direct message me on Twitter at any point if you like. I've now opened my messages up to everybody. So as long as I accept your request, you can now sort of send me a direct message if you want to talk football or anything like that on Twitter. So I'm always available there. But as always, guys, please leave a like on the video if you haven't already. I know I'm saying this a lot, but it really helps the channel out. We always try and aim for sort of 20 to 25 likes if we can, which is a really good number for such a small channel that we are at the moment. But I really appreciate the people who have come along today and watched it. As always, I really appreciate the support. We'll be back soon with another video. I'm going to try and get another Player in Focus out in the sort of try and aim for sort of to do 2 a week or like sort of 3 every 2 weeks, if that makes sense. So try and do it a bit more often, just because we need to try and get around as much of the squad as we can. We won't cover every player probably, but we'll cover as many players as we can, as many players as we think will be interesting to fit into Erik Ten Hag's system. So thanks a lot, guys, for watching. As always, I appreciate the support. Please leave a like, please subscribe if you're new. Please comment anything else after the show. If you're watching this when it's not live, I appreciate that as well. We've got some more live shows coming up soon. We've got some more pre-recorded shows that we're going to do. We're going to cover more Player in Focus. We're going to cover new signings. We're going to cover some tactical things we've seen in pre-season so far. We're going to cover some, we're going to have some debates with other people. I'm sure I'll bring other guests on soon. We'll do some, maybe even some vlogs or some footage from outside the stadium, as I do go to matches from time to time as well. So I'll try and bring that to you direct from Old Trafford if I can. But thanks a lot, always, guys, for watching. Please keep up the support. Please stay healthy. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.